Hey everybody, I hope you're excited for today's challenge because I sure am. Today's one that I feel like everybody could utilize regardless of whether you're a beginner trader, intermediate, or even an advanced trader. It's all about action points. Now, action points aren't necessarily a common term. It's something that I use to describe what you do in the market based upon price action. So an action point is simply that. You take action. And there's one of three things that you can do to take action. The first thing that you need to understand, or the first action that you need to take is 1, get in, 2, get out, or 3, hold your trades. So as a basic intro to action points, if you've never really looked at action points, they're just basically support and resistance. And so we're gonna go through and what the challenge is today. For a basic or a level 1 action point person, go back and identify 20 different action points on the 1-minute chart. So draw a line on it and then determine whether or not that action point is get in, get out, or hold, right? That's it. That's the challenge so that you can start learning how to do it. Now, the second part to the challenge is that if you've already understand that or you've already done that, then the second part to this challenge is simply this. Now we need to add a second layer. We understand where support and resistance is. We understand what the action points are, get in, get out, or hold, sit on our trades. The next thing that we need to understand is we need to understand what is the trend, okay? When it comes to action points, we identify what the trend is or the direction of the market. Is it going up? Is it going down? The next thing that we need to understand is our price cycles. So how far has it moved? Are we at the end of a price cycle? Is it 1 price cycle, 2 price cycles, 3 price cycles in the same direction? So we need to understand trend and price cycles. And then we need to understand kind of our outside range. Are we in an outside range? Are we in the range? Okay, and so challenge number 2, once you get the basic one down, is to go back to those 20 different trades and identify what type of trend it was in, what was it at the end of what kind of price cycle, and did it happen in an outside range or was it up against breaking an outside range? All of these things that you need to identify will have different actions based upon where they are at in the market. And so if we can understand where the action points are, then we can start to understand what type of actions that we need to take place. So again, the simple challenge today is just to identify where the action points are. And then the next thing, once you do that, the next part of that challenge is to identify where they are at on the market. And then the last thing is that I want you to now trade. So the last thing in this challenge today is to trade up to 3 or 4 different action points using the correct action. So we identify it, and now we're gonna put it into practice. So first part of the challenge, identify where those points are. Second part of the challenge, let's put it into practice. So just to recap the challenge, there's gonna be 3 parts. 1, if you're a beginner, identify where those action points are. And I want you to go back to 20 of them. Number 2, where are they at in relation to trend, price cycles, and ranges? And then number 3, trade 3 to 4 different action points and identify what your correct action is. That's the challenge. Don't forget to post that challenge in Discord once it's completed. And as always, like, subscribe, and join our Discord server, and we'll see you tomorrow when we trade.
So I already got into a little buy on the pullback. I don't know if now I'm starting. I think that would be the right play.
Yeah. So what I want
to do was to sell, right?
Yeah. What I want you to do real quick is turn your annotations on and draw on your chart. So I want you to identify 20 previous action points. And so right now, let's just draw on them. Let's look for those action points and then go back to the action point after you have identified 20 of them. So I would just use the zoom tools because, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. But what I'm looking for, yep, I think you got it. It's good.
So now do I have 4 on?
You tell me. Do you have 4 on? Do you have 5 now?
Yes, I do, but are they the right spots?
I don't know. You're teaching the class right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go back and look at the pre.
I'll just give you a pass or fail. This is your oral report.
All right.
Do you remember those?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. Now I got 7. Should I just be going really far back to get 20? Or am I going?
So you don't have to go. So one of the things I don't want you to do is only looking for the majors. So is there one inside of here, inside of these moves? You know,
Like there.
exactly. Right. And even here would be 1, 2 if it's coming up and testing, right?
Right there.
Right, because it correlates with this right here, right?
Okay, I've got 9. So should I keep going inside or go further back? Like back here?
Well, where's the one right this second on the market? And then where's it going? Where's it heading?
There's the next spot of
You could also drag this one over too, right? So that you can identify that this is one as well.
So really I missed the buy there.
Yeah, bounce right there.
Yeah.
And then label each one of these 20 points with 3 decision or 3.
Like what would you have done? What would you have done on that point, right? Would you buy, sell, or hold? So 1, 2, and 3.
Well, in some of these higher spots, there have been entries for shorts. So if I had been paying attention, I could have shorted. Like the top of that was a really good spot to sell.
Why?
Because it was 3 price cycles that went beyond the previous action points without any other price cycles, without any legs up. So it was a really good short, a high probability short.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have taken that, even though Duke said, well, it kind of popped out into an outside range. I still would have taken that because of how it popped out.
Yeah.
Meaning it just shot up like that. I would not have taken
No, I was saying it could be, because it's an outside range, I would have sell instead of saying continue up.
Got it. But sometimes if it depends on how it got there. So I'm going to change my color so it's not confusing here. If it because it shot up, I would have taken it. If it didn't shoot up and it just kind of gradually came up and tested, pulled back, tested, and then broke, I would not have taken it. I would not have taken that as a high probability. And why is that? That's a question for Duke. Why would I not have taken it?
It's likely to continue and break.
It's likely to continue and turn into a ride the wave.
Because of the price cycle up.
Correct. Because it tested, break. Right.
Right. The other thing I've seen, which you mentioned about the trampoline, right? If it consolidates, it can break down and then it pops, boom, and it's right away.
Mm-hmm. So that's why this action point challenge is so vital and so important, because depending on how price gets to the point that it gets to will determine how you play the action point.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
but in this case here, this went up straight, almost like a marching market. And now it's coming down, not in that manner.
Sure. So let's define what a marching market is. What's the definition of a marching market?
When it doesn't obey the decision points or the price cycle.
Correct. So with this last move up on the 5-minute chart, I don't know if I would call it a marching market because it moved in 2 candles and it did stop at an action point, but then continued to move up. Does that make sense? It didn't turn, but it also had behaved. It behaved in the same manner that it previously behaved in. Does that make sense? Where you have
which chart are you looking at?
The 5.
Oh,
You had that. Does that make
I'm
sense?
looking at the 1.
Right.
Fine.
That's why you have to look at both.
Okay.
And I look at the 5 for my structure and my market changes, and then I look for my 1. The 1 is my entries and my exits.
Oh, I got you. I was just looking at the 1.
All right. So back to Hobble Wobble. What have you learned? What have you gained? What information, what wisdom will you impart to all of us? We're so hungry for knowledge.
You're starving.
Well, I feel like I'm comprehending that. And let's see if I am comprehending in real time. I'm now looking for my trade. I'm starting to buy and go long because this is now run like another 2 cycles. It's almost doing the V again. So I want to try and get out of this one because it's actually looking like it might continue just like all the other ones. So if I get the opportunity, I can get a break even if I get 1 leg up here.
All right, let's go back to not trading here real quick. I'm going to ask you, let's just go back and do this real quick. So I'm going to start with back here. I know you're in a few trades, but that's okay. Let me do this kind of a test with you guys, and I think this will be good. So let me request remote control from you. All right.
I would add trades at that level right there to save that buy.
All right, this is what we're going to do. This is where you've identified as your first action point. Okay. This is your first action point right here. What are you doing right here?
Buying.
Okay. You're buying to where?
I have to look back to see if it's.
Nope. This is all the information that you have.
Oh, okay.
You're buying to this support level here, to this resistance level.
Where are you buying to?
I would go to the first orange candle, like where your mouse was.
I'm going to draw. So if you're buying here, where's your next action point?
Below the next area.
It's below.
Where? You guys tell me when to stop drawing, or you can draw.
just below that spot a little shorter than that green line.
Okay, so this is your next action point.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is this action point going to tell you?
If it returns, if it's pushed back down, or if it breaks through.
No, if this market comes up and touches this, what does it tell you to do?
Exit the buy.
Exit the buy. If it comes up and crosses the action point, what does it tell you?
If it flows above, then you can buy.
So if the action...
Hold the buy.
Yeah, exactly. If the market comes up and crosses this in a candle, then you hold it and you sit on your hands. So you have 2 options here: get out or hold. Does that make sense?
Yeah. In that case, hold.
Right. But depending on the action, right? But you've already pre-identified this as an area of where you'd like to get out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, let's see. Got that. Now, here's where kind of is testing and it's stalled, right?
So exit.
Yep. So you'd exit. Okay. And then now what?
Just still wait.
Sell.
Okay. You could wait or you could sell, right? Because you're right on that action point. So you're also like price cycle, right? And so you could start to sell and see if it's going to come back down, or you could wait.
Or wait for a leg down. Wouldn't it be better to wait for a leg down to get into another buy?
Well, I guess you've identified this as your next action point.
Okay.
Right. So that was your next action point. So obviously I'm trying not to give you future information. So what are you doing here on this action point?
I'd buy the blue candle down. I'd buy that spot.
Okay. You'd buy right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then exit at the top of the orange or current orange candle.
And this
or if it blows through it, then hold.
Okay, good. But it didn't blow through it. So you'd get out there, right?
More profit.
And I think people, when you trade with zero take profits, you don't get it. People have a tendency to not get out because, I could get more. No, still get out. Always get out on a action point where it stops, right? Even though this candle blew past, the right play is still to get out, right? Because it's an action point and it's stalled and it could come back down. And then I recycle that if it comes back up.
That is a mistake I've made plenty of times in the past of holding when I shouldn't have held.
Because a lot of times you give your profit back to the market and it comes back the other way, right? And so always err on the side of taking profit. Just always err on the side of taking profit.
David.
Yeah.
Before this blue candle here, the way I read it was that these little short candles, yes, this blue one right here, where you at, I read it as a candle that came back to test this level. So that's why I would have bought.
You would have bought down here or right here on the blue candle.
I don't know where you're.
You would have bought here.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I read it as coming back to test this level where it was consolidating. That's how I read it.
Got it. Okay, so all right, so now it comes up, you buy here, you got out here, comes back, you would have gotten back in on this blue candle probably, right?
Yeah. Okay, this is another test again.
Okay, so you buy back in there, and then your action point is probably right at the top of that, right? And then here you go, right there. This candle.
My action point would have been the tip where that red line is. It's right going here to retest, yeah.
So what I'm saying is that you got profit here. And so that now, because you have profit there, it becomes an action point. But because it blew past it, now this one becomes your action point. Does that make sense?
Okay.
The only reason why I say that's one is because there's profit to be pulled off as a possible recycle if it does stall right there.
Right.
Right.
But that's where I would have just held, and I wouldn't really take it if it stalled right there.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to, but that I would have.
Uh-huh.
I would have taken that for pull back down to here for recycle opportunity.
Right.
And tried to 2x that trade. But you're right. Long term, I'm thinking it's going to come up to here because it crossed right here. Does that make sense? But now I'm looking for little tiny, on the 1 minute, I'm just looking for little tiny opportunities of 2 to 3 pips. Right. All right. So, okay, bounced up here, right here. What are you doing here?
Get out of a sell that I would have gone in at the top.
Okay, so are you buying here, or are you selling, or are you holding?
But you could buy there, I guess. You could buy light. I'd buy light there.
Okay, so you're buying.
And then buy one more time down there.
Yep. So if you buy here, you also buy here, right? and then you look at this as your break even.
Right.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
you get out of everything here unless the action point does that, right? Or just
But,
blow past.
Before you get there, David, when you make the second buy, wouldn't you want your take profit to be below those 2 red candles?
Yeah, Josh, are you freaking out right now about your trades? Okay.
Do you know how many times I've hit negative 5%? Do you think I'm freaking out?
That's not a good.
No, it's not. It's not. But I'm not freaking out.
Not a good answer.
I'm not freaking out.
I'd be like, okay, 1%'s good. I'm going to take the 1% on the day. I'll just close out everything. I'm not going to let these trades turn into negative. Not going to get.
We can fix this.
Okay. I wanted to go through this. That's why, like in the challenge account, I would like people to be in demos.
And just I was pointing out that it could have turned back down like that, and that's what I recognize as an outside zone.
Sure. So I want to make sure that when we're doing these challenges, that we're not trying to trade at the same time. Does that make sense? So we're focused on either getting better as a trader, or we're focused on taking our skill set and applying that to the market. When we do a challenge, all we're doing is focusing on the skill set, nothing else. So try to eliminate the outside noise. However, I understand that this is an account that you care about, not a demo account. So
yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So I'm trying to be cognizant and respectful of that as we're going through.
No worries.
Okay. So the next action point. Dang it. Right there. What are you going to do?
So
You'd sell right here?
oh, sorry. No, 2 candles back was a good sell.
Okay. Right. But right here comes down into this area.
You get a light buy there.
Yeah, I would, because I still feel like, so here's the thing. Once it crossed over this, I felt like it was going to come up to here. It didn't do that. And then it came down, crossed this point again right here. And so now I'd be like, okay, I would have shifted my mindset and like, okay, now it's coming down to here. But this candle right here changed all of that, right? This candle right here changed that for me, where like, okay, this one is now out of play and this one is back into play. Because it broke and held above there, now I'm thinking it's going to come back into this and get into a play there.
So a shift of probability is what happened.
Correct. That's exactly what happened on this candle right here. Because it came down and like, okay, because you crossed this, now it's probably going to come down and test this. But as soon as this candle happened, it comes back in, and now like, okay, now this is back in play and this one's not. And so now I'd be playing for it to come up, test the top, and break higher. Does that make sense?
It was super helpful to do this, so we know. I wasn't quite certain on exactly what the challenge is, but this makes a lot more sense now.
Good.